Hi everybody. We are beginning our financial management course here at Keene State, and what I'm going to do in this particular class is, rather than like going through big long lectures involving PowerPoints and, basically just kind of restating all the information that you can find in the book, what I want to do is instead use the ebook as sort of a backdrop to just kind of expanding on it a little bit and explaining some of the concepts that might be perhaps not as clear as they could be, or bringing some of my own insights into this rather than just sort of, going through PowerPoint. So what I would ask you to do is, for this class, go ahead and read the ebook, look at the ebook, watch these videos, and I'm going to keep them short, right? I'm only going to speak to things that I think might be not super clear in the book and things that I think need to be important to emphasize. So that's kind of where we're going to go with this. And, quite often the first chapter of a textbook is kind of like a waste of time. In this case, because financial management is a brand new topic for you, the first chapter actually does have quite a lot of really good information, and I'm going to take and make a series of these little mini lectures to go along with that chapter. Now, I'm going to keep my face on screen, but you might notice that there are occasional clips and clicks as I need to edit a little bit and, make breaks and stuff. For instance, when I itch my nose, or when those notifications come up and make a bunch of noise, right? So I'm going to close that, show you what I have to deal with, and then scratch my nose, and then turn the page and continue, okay? All right, so these are the objectives of the chapter, and the first thing I want to talk about is what they're calling the cycle of money. And so, what we mean by the cycle of money is this idea that, actually this little example that they give is really cute. It says, look, you want to, borrow some money from a friend and you're going to pay it back later. That cycle of borrowing and repayment is the cycle of money. And banks get into the middle of it basically to spread the risk around. So let's say that, you are wanting to borrow and repay money from a friend, but your friend is a little nervous about it, right? Your friend can basically loan the money to a bank, and then the bank loans the money to you, and then you repay the money to the bank, and the bank repays your friend, right? So the bank basically shares risk. And that's the role of financial intermediaries and banks within the cycle of money. And so that is fairly explanatory or self-explanatory as you go through it in the text. But as this chapter proceeds, it becomes more and more apparent that money is a product that has a price, right? So when you are borrowing and lending money, you are essentially buying and selling money at a price, and the price of money is interest. Okay, so that's the first thing that is sort of embedded within this chapter but isn't really explained explicitly. Okay, money is a product, and the other aspect of that, with money being a product that is bought and sold, is that the price of buying and selling money is going to change, right? The transaction cost of buying and selling money is going to change depending on the risk associated with it. So for instance, if you're somebody who has borrowed a bunch of money and never paid it back, right, it's going to cost you a lot to purchase money, right? And of course, what is the price of money? What does it cost us to obtain money? The price of money is interest, right? So if you can get your head around thinking about money as a commodity that is bought and sold at a price, and that interest is the price of money, then think about the difference in interest rates between an unsecured credit card at like 20% interest versus a mortgage, a home mortgage, which is secured by the property at a very low rate of interest. Okay, so a mortgage rate of interest is like 3% right now, 2%. Very low rate of interest, because if you stop paying on your mortgage, the bank will just come and foreclose. Whereas the interest rate on a credit card is very high, because if you stop paying your credit card, they can't really come back and get, that restaurant meal that you paid for last month, right? It's unsecured. There's nothing backing up that loan, right? And so the price of money, interest, is going to vary depending on the risk. And that is the most fundamental concept in finance, which is embedded underneath this discussion in this very first section of the chapter about the cycle of money and the role of banks. The role of banks or financial intermediaries has to do with spreading risk. And that is going to be one of the fundamental concepts that we discuss over and over and over again in this class. That is the end of the first mini lecture.